I guess I don't know, it was your choice or the choice of the people in charge of the whole production. You didn't go the deerstalker route. The classic Sherlock Holmes look is, as we all know, it's the deerstalker hat. This is what, if a tourist comes to England and wants to see a Sherlock Holmes thing, they want the full Monty. They want that.
They do.
They want this, they want this, they want that.
Very good. Very good.
That's what they want. Check out the chili peppers. Flea's working it. They're punching it out. Look at everyone's getting in on the action.
I'd love a photograph of that.
The room full of Cumberbitches over here.
Yeah. he knows how to say Cumberbitch. He can't do Cumberbatch.
No, that's great. That's fantastic.
Can we clear up a rumour here?
Please do.
And I don't know it may be more than a rumour or not. I read way back when I first saw you Sherlock, someone said you'd been offered Doctor Who, and you decided not to do it. And then I read afterwards, someone said, no, he wasn't offered it. There was talk about you, but before it got to the offering stage, you withdrew from it anyway. You decided you didn't want to be considered for Doctor Who. Yeah. Then I read something from you saying, which seemed to me like you were leaving it open, because you said, someone said, would you ever be in an episode of Doctor Who? And you said, well, I wouldn't be in an episode of Doctor Who, which I think means maybe you would do more than one if you were Doctor Who. So, here's the deal. Were you offered Doctor Who?
No.
Did you want to do it?
No.
Would you like to do it?
No.
You thought quite a long while about
Well,
that.
I mean, to be completely honest about it, you know, the rumours started because David Tennant and I Matt Smith and I are friends as well, and he kept it very, very quiet that he got it. You know, David's a friend of mine, and he said, "Are you going out for my old job?" And I went, no, I don't think I am. Because it comes, especially after him, and I think that's why Matt's done such a phenomenally good job of it.
Big shoes to fill.
Huge shoes to fill.
Would you have found it limiting, do you think? Because I've met David a few times while he was doing it, and he was always so generous and giving of his time with the fans, but that was like a job in itself. Just him going out somewhere, if kids saw him, you know, for them it's Doctor Who, and they're all out, and it's like he has to give them time, and also there are figures of you, there's toys out there. I don't think they've done any Sherlock toys, have they?
No, they haven't.
Okay, so...
what a missed opportunity. Get onto it, John. You know these people, you can get the merchandise.
Would you like to be on a flask?
Well, to be honest, that is one of the reasons I think the Doctor Who job is so hard. It's because you are on the flask, you're on the school lunchbox. You have to sometimes go on the school bus as Doctor Who to do sort of promotional tours of it. And I quite like sort of keeping my work on the set or you know, at the theatre, and then going home and trying to be myself.
Now, before we talk about Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, which obviously we will, your gap year, you taught English to Tibetan children and some adults in a monastery near or on the Himalayas.
Yeah, it was in the foothills of the Himalayas in Darjeeling, just outside of Darjeeling, a little hill station.
That's got to be the poshest gap year I've ever heard about.
It was quite rough and ready. It was a very cold, concrete sort of basement room that I was in, and what was amazing about it was the location. You'd open the window in the morning. It was their winter as well, so literal clouds would roll into your room like dry ice, but they were clouds. We were that high up. And you'd sort of be woken up at 5 in the morning by puja, the prayer ritual, which would be going on at the top of this converted Nepali house. It was amazing. It was quite hard, but... And
so, did you have to join in, or were you allowed to be the way you were?
They really wanted me to just be myself and bring whatever I had from home and just enjoy that. And it was just about having a Westerner and a different cultural sort of influence amongst them. And I think that was the fairest point of the exchange. I mean, I got to see everything they did, and it's extraordinary. It's a very hard life, but they have a lot of fun. They know how to have a good time. And
so the monks have a good time. What's a really good night for a monk?
They love watching. They loved watching Braveheart when I was there. And they were.
So monks. So hold it. Tibetan monks are big Mel Gibson fans.
Well, they like the idea that, you know, in that film they're the Scottish oppressed minority, and of course the English are the Chinese.
So they see that,
there was all of that, and it was an amazing experience.
And what about the, you know, I was asking the in-betweeners about what they do in between. I keep calling them in-betweeners if that's their collective name, but asking the young men there what they do to while away the hours. Have you ever played Smack Bum or?
No, I think we should introduce it to the set.
Yeah. I would love to see Dame Maggie Smith having a go at that, wouldn't you? Okay. You are very well-spoken, very well-presented young women. I don't know, are you posh in real life? Because you obviously play posh on screen, or do you posh up for the parts?
We posh up. We posh up.
You posh up, okay. So what are your backgrounds? Where are you from originally? What parts of the country? What kind of background?
No, is that really posh?
Well, I'm from Essex, so...
An Essex girl?
I'm not posh.
But you said you haven't got the Essex...
Well, no. I mean, my mum taught me how to speak proper.
Can you drop into Essex if you need to?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And Laura?
I'm from Southampton.
Okay. So once again,
What
not
can
that-
you say much about
But
Southampton?
you get posh people from Southampton as well as...
I'm sure. Yeah.
I'm from Berkshire, so
Berkshire.
I sound quite posh.
You do sound quite posh.
You do.
I do. I sound quite posh, yeah.
But do you ever do common as well?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we're waiting for a bit.
Oh, gosh. Don't make me do that.
Oh, gosh is about as far from common as you can possibly get. Oh, gosh! I'm so excited about the Christmas episode coming up. It's on Christmas Day on ITV at 9 o'clock. They've already sent me one. I managed to get one in advance. But I have held back from watching because I want to watch it with the family because we all love it. How much can you tell us about it? Without spoiling for people, obviously. How much, I know it's a longer edition. It's like 2 hours long, isn't it?
Yeah.
But what can you tell us about what goes on it? How much can you give away? Safely.
Well, Bates is on trial.
Yeah.
We can tell you that.
Being wrongly accused of murdering his
Wrongly
wife. Well,
accused.
maybe he did murder her, I don't know.
Well,
I would
we'll
have murdered her.
her. There's a servants' ball where...
It's not the same ball we saw in The Inbetweeners, is it? Oh, well, you mean like a dance? I'm so sorry. I thought you meant we were having our first flash of nudity. Maybe Thomas was dropping one out for us.
So it's a dance.
It's a dance.
It's a dance.
Oh, gosh.
But,
Yeah.
but it's lovely. It's really festive, you know.
Yeah.
Big tree at Downton and a ball and some snow.
It's going to be beautiful.
It's great.
I had to do a Kansas accent, and my character lives on a farm.
So how is the sort of farm accent different to a town accent?
Well, I guess the farm accent sounds a little bit Midwest and Southern. A little bit southerny.
Y'all like that?
Yeah. Well, like, for example, we were filming in this really remote little town called Thibodeau. So we went out for dinner at this at Chili's, I think, which was the only restaurant
I love
available.
Chili's.
Chili's is amazing.
You ever been to Chili's? Man,
Yeah.
when you go to Chili's, you can see why so many of our American friends are enormous. Because I ordered a starter once and it was like 4 mini burgers and they were as big as proper burgers.
Yeah. Well, the girl who was serving me was enormous. You know, I think she got freebie meals at Chili's.
Nothing wrong with that.
And she comes up and she goes, "Did anyone ever tell you you look a lot like Emily Blunt?" And I said, "I have heard that, yes." And she went, "Are you Emily Blunt?" And I went, "Yeah." And she went, "What are y'all doing here?" And then she was like, "Are y'all shooting a movie here?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm shooting a film called Looper." And she went, "Looper?" And I went, "Yeah." And she went, "Y'all just made that up." And I was like, "I really didn't."
The film, I've seen the film. We'll talk about the film now. I've seen the film. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't looking forward to seeing the film.
You said that, I know.
I saw the trailer and I thought, man, that looks awful. Because it looked like your standard, and I like Bruce Willis, but it looked like Bruce Willis going to shoot someone, bang, bang, someone's going to try and shoot him, bang, bang, at the end, but he's going to kill them all, end of film. That's kind of what it looked like. And I thought, I've seen this movie.
Yeah.
But I want to see it, and I'm telling you, this film, I loved it. I loved every minute of it. My wife, who works in the movie industry, she loved it as well. She was blown away by it. I can't recommend it high enough. If you like science fiction films that really stay with you, I'm telling you, I'm not just saying this because Emily's here, because as I said, I almost cancelled her coming on when I knew that was the show. When I saw the trailer. It's so, because really, in the trailer, the story isn't there, is it? You don't see what the film's about.
No, well, they don't want to, because the story has a lot of complex twists and turns. They don't want to give anything away.
It's just a great film. What's crucial to the film, and once you don't see this in the trailer on it, is the relationship between you and a child.
Yes.
In the film. That's crucial to it.
Yeah.
Terrific performance from this young actor. What was his name?
Pierce Gagnon. And he was so cute, you know, and he was so, oh, look at him. And I would try and hang out with him on set, you know, just to make sure he felt comfortable with me, and we'd go and play little games and hang out together all the time. And I think the more familiar he got with me, you know, the more he felt he'd just come and sit on my knee at lunch and stuff. And then one day he comes up to me and he's trying to pull my top down. Oh. And his mum is from the South, you know, she's very about manners, and she went, "Pierce, that is so rude. You do not do that to Miss Emily, that is so rude." And he kept doing it. And eventually I went, "Pierce, why are you always trying to undress me?" And he went, "Because I just want to see him." And I was like, good for you.
Well, yeah, there you go. He knows what he wants. Well, I think...
And so I showed him, and then... No.
Yeah. OK, so let's talk about this thing that you learned to do for Looper. And I wouldn't have thought you necessarily need to learn to do this, but I guess there's a technique involved. What was it?
Well, I had to learn how to chop wood really convincingly.
Because she's self-sufficient sort of
Yeah,
thing.
she lives on her own on this farm, and so she's a tough chick, and So they dropped these logs off at my house about 3 weeks before we started shooting. So I had to learn how to chop wood convincingly.
We've got some wood in here, and I thought you might want to demonstrate your wood chopping skills.
I will just say one thing. I never learnt how to split a log, so if I do manage to split it, it will be the first log that I've split.
Wow, well, that will be quite a wonderful
I only learned
moment.
how to chop into a tree stump, so this is probably going to be a disaster.
Let's talk about Homeland.
Yes.
Because Homeland also is a phenomenal script, and I would have thought quite a tough role for you to play, because we do have to not always know where he's coming from. Is that difficult for you as an actor? You know, you're trying to sell us on he's going one route, but at the same time, you've got to leave it open so we can be aware that he might not be doing what we're thinking. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Well, I think you're talking about ambiguity. Just playing ambiguity the whole way through the first season certainly was enormous fun. You know, but acting's like advocacy. You advocate for your character, and you believe in, trust and love your character, and can defend them, whatever they are going to do, even if it seems like they might be putting on a, you know,
a vest bomb,
a suicide vest, and be seemingly about to blow up the cabinet.
Let me ask you about the religious aspect of it, because it's interesting here. You have a character, a sympathetic character in an American drama, especially in the current climate, who is an American who's become a Muslim.
Yes.
And he's become a Muslim, and quite a devout Muslim, if I read the story correctly, through choice. He wasn't brainwashed. That sort of would be the easy route, that he was out there and he was kept as a hostage and somehow they brainwashed him. But you come to the conclusion, or I came to the conclusion, that he chose that path.
Yes.
And I thought that was brave, and braver than I expected to see on an American television show.
I think, yeah, I'm very astute. I'm glad you picked that up, because it's, of course, it's a thriller. And so the American Marine who starts worshipping Allah and turns to Islam obviously is going to be, in the context of a thriller, a suspicious character. So he is, but I stated very clearly at the beginning, before I even accepted the job, that I'd feel uneasy if there was any lazy associations drawn between violence and Islam, and wouldn't it be more subversive if actually Islam became something that was sustaining for him, was a force for good in his life, and had a sort of poetic even and you know, really influential role in his life that would be nurturing for him.
I'm not up to date, so please don't talk any more about the new episodes. Because earlier on, we were rehearsing this show, and I know that'll come as a huge surprise to all of you. But they said, here, let's have a little clips you might show. And they showed a clip, and it's an episode I haven't seen yet, OK? But it's been out over here, but I'm not up to date. So just in case there's anyone else out there, like me, who isn't up to date, I'm going to spoil it for you too. Have a look at this. What's the reaction been like from the American military, from the establishment? Because presumably they must be watching as well. They must have an idea of what you're doing with the show. It's a big hit over there.
Well, yes, it is a big hit, and then it became an even bigger hit when the President of the United States said it was his favourite show. And,
wow.
So then it was sort of, yeah, it was quite exciting. And then I worried
I hope he's not basing their foreign policy on it.
I know, yeah. We all started to worry even more at that point. And then, amazingly, really, because of the success of the show, I was invited to the White House for dinner, and then I was expecting to be sat next to the toilets, and I ended up being at his table, sitting opposite him.
Wow.
And found myself asking him and Mr. Cameron, who was sitting next to him, you know,
hold on, well, now you've taken the shine off the whole evening.
Yeah, he did turn to Dave and said, have you seen the show? And our Prime Minister went, no, well, it's, you know, we're only on the first season at home, we're only on episode 2, and, but Sam did find it on demand, and we were watching it while I was getting into my tux before dinner. So they were in their bedroom upstairs, sort of putting on, and said, darling, could you fix the tie? And just sort of looking at the first episode.
Oh dear, that chap, he's strapped a bomb on himself. And so the president is a fan. He watches it. And
yeah, it turns out he's a huge fan. And he said, I said, when do you watch it? And he said, aren't you supposed to be running the free world? And he said, well, on Saturday afternoons, Michelle, she takes the 2 girls. They go play tennis. I go into the Oval Office. I pretend I'm going to work, and I switch on Homeland.